Well, hi, welcome to Bethany Congregational United Church of Christ in our, it's a Christian meditation, Christian meditative prayer group that we're going to be doing here over the next, I believe, 7 weeks. And so this is the first session tonight. We're going to be focusing on the technique, the practice of centering prayer. It's really one of the most simple practices, and that's why I've chosen it. But there are there are some structures to it. There are some subtleties here and there, and we'll try to share those as we go along. But it's really going to be more of a practice where we're learning by doing the practice itself more than instruction, more than doing a lot of processing about our experience while we're doing the practice or afterwards. So we really want to give kind of a brief introduction to centering prayer, then do some centering prayer, and we probably won't process much about our experiences afterward. At some point, we may take some time to process experience, but we really want to not over intellectualize this and really focus on the felt sense, and each of us participating in the group being able to really kind of concentrate on our own felt sense, our own experience, and take that with us. And that's really kind of our goal. So that's how we're going to start. So I'm going to just start off by mostly reading some of this introduction, so you know what we're doing and kind of the basic structure of the process. So I've already mentioned it's a simple practice. We'll probably include a little spiritual reading here and there to kind of help set the tone, to kind of help create an atmosphere. Let's see, we'll follow a sequence of, there's a little bit of preparation typically, then the prayer itself, and then a little process of trying to integrate the experience into the rest of our lives. And so there's a little three step process, and we'll be trying to follow that in our sessions here. So one of the key components of centering prayer is our intention, and by that is it's kind of a commitment and an understanding that we have that we're going to have the intention to be open to the experience of God. And so that intention kind of becomes like a compass direction. This is what we can return to over and over again. It's not about necessarily getting things right. It's not necessarily about achieving a certain goal or objective, but the intention can be something that we keep coming back to, that helps guide us and helps anchor us in the process. So that intention is a key piece. And again, the intention is to help place ourselves in a position of openness and receptivity to the experience of God through this practice. So let's see. So beyond that setting of intention, basically, and practicing presence, beyond that, we let go of our expectations to achieve outcomes, like I mentioned. And in part, that very letting go is what helps us open to God. We let go of our to-do list. We let go of our expectations of certain outcomes. When thoughts and things interrupt, we try to let go of that. One thing, if you don't already have one, this is a kind of a preliminary step, is to establish a sacred word or phrase for ourselves. And that just serves as an anchor point. It's kind of a symbolic, it's really symbolic of our intention, but it's an anchor point that we can return to when we find out that our mind has drifted away, we're lost in thought, we catch ourselves, we return back to that anchor point. And it's just a tool. we don't want to get too attached to the anchor point itself, because then, you know, we're focusing too much on that and not being open and present for God. So it's important to start out with the anchor point, but some of the teachers say that, yeah, eventually you don't need the anchor point anymore, the anchor phrase. But it's something you can pick for yourself. It can be a name for God, another word for God. It can be something more reflective of the intention itself. So examples would be, you know, something of reflecting the process. It could be rest. It could be open. It could be a phrase like "be still" or "let go." And so, you know, take a few moments and find a phrase. You don't have to overthink it or work too hard at it, but find a phrase that tends to come to you that would just help you represent that openness, that connection to God, that receptivity to God. So just take a moment and try to find that. This evening to start, and we may pray for longer periods of time as we go along through the weeks. I would anticipate that, but this evening we're going to start out with a 5-minute prayer period. A practice like this is like most other kinds of practices. The more you do it, the better you tend to get at it. The easier it tends to become. And so I'm trying to start out with 5 minutes this time, just so we're not, you know, sitting here 15 minutes in and kind of wondering what we're doing. But it'll, you know, 5 minutes will seem like a pretty long time this evening, I think, for most of us. So hopefully you've kind of got your sacred word. I'll be using a timer, and it'll have 3 chimes. The first chime to begin, it'll have a chime at 2.5 minutes, which just lets us know that's the midpoint. We're still here. Things are still going on. So 2.5 minutes in, you'll get that chime, and it's a good time to, if you do notice that, wow, I'm way off thinking about my shopping list or something. It gives you a chance to bring yourself back so that you don't spend the whole time on your shopping list. But so that's that middle chime, and then there'll be a chime at the end. After that last chime, it's good to just kind of sit there. You don't have to continue to do the, catching your mind wandering and bring yourself back to the focus word. But it's a good time to kind of sit there for a minute and let it just, the experience percolate a little bit. Just you might notice how you feel physically. You might notice what your emotional state is, but not asking you to work too hard at it, but just take a few moments to let the experience sink in. So I'm going to read a little portion of an interpretation of Psalm 93 here, and then I'll kind of go into I'll sort of guide us into the prayer practice, and then I'll be quiet and I'll start the timer here. So this is an interpretation of Psalm 93. And this one is by Stephen Miller, and from his book, A Book of Psalms. It's in modern language, and I think it's pretty powerful. So, and I think it really fits in with the practice of centering prayer. God acts within every moment and creates the world with each breath. God speaks from the center of the universe. In the silence beyond all thought, mightier than the crash of a thunderstorm, mightier than the roar of the sea, is God's voice silently speaking in the depths of the listening heart. So take a minute now to just briefly attend to your posture. You want to try to find a posture that's comfortable and natural, that allows you to be as open as you can. It's okay to adjust your posture during the prayer time. Some people tend to encourage us not to adjust our posture. To me, you want to continue to be comfortable. If something is starting to feel uncomfortable, that's going to be a distraction for you. So if you need to adjust or something during the prayer time, please feel free to do that. But again, the idea of your posture is you want to be comfortable, and you may want to try to deliberately kind of open your chest just a little bit. Again, this is not something we want to work hard at, but and then maybe, to me, I like to lift my chin just a little bit, so that just gives me that open feel. So you may want to take a moment to notice your breath. Typically, our breath is going to slow down and deepen as we relax, and you can take notice of that if you want to. Again, you don't have to. The whole idea here is we're trying not to focus too much on other things and work really hard at anything, but it can help to notice that breath a little bit, and that can help you begin to do to get into that relaxed posture. So just as a way to kind of prime yourself, and again, you're going to, almost as soon as you do this, you're going to be letting go of this and letting it go back into the background, but you want to bring to mind an image of God. And this can be whatever God is for you, however you see God, where that's at for you now. I think it's appropriate to have the intention of being in touch with some loving, benevolent sense of God. So I think that's fair game. I don't really ascribe to just sort of letting whatever comes come initially here as you're kind of setting yourself up. I think you want to start out with that sense of God as a loving God, a God of grace, a God of radical acceptance. So just take a moment to kind of touch that image and then let it recede into the background. I don't think you could hear it, but I just heard an owl calling out from the green belt back here. It's really beautiful. As we begin, just remember that our minds are they're designed to be thinking and working on problems. So it's very normal for our minds to wander. And again, each time you notice it wander, just bring it back to that sacred word, and that will help you reconnect and get back into that place of receptivity. There's no right or wrong way for this to go. You don't want to get engaged in a struggle that, hey, I'm not doing this right, or gosh, these distractions just keep coming. That's normal. That's natural. The distractions are just invitations to be aware and to bring yourself back, reconnect a little bit with your intention by coming back and kind of touching in with that sacred word. So we're going to begin the timer here. That's the midway chime. And that's the ending chime. And you may want to take a few moments and remain still with your eyes closed and just let the practice soak in just for a few moments here. You may want to check in with how your body feels, what your emotional state is, if you like. Okay, so you can open your eyes now if you'd like to. And what we're going to do now is just a real short little practice to help integrate this experience into our daily lives. And in this one, what we'll be doing, I'll just kind of talk you through it, but and then I'm going to give us just a little time of quiet to actually do the practice. But what you're going to do is think of a person in your life who really cares about you and who you really care about. This could be a friend, could be a family member, teacher, but I think you get that vibe. Somebody that you've got a good connection with, and just sort of call them to mind, hold them in a sense of gratitude or a sense of loving embrace, if you will, and as you hold them in that sense, sort of reach back to the sense of connection with God that you developed as we were doing the centering prayer, whatever sense that you can still kind of access try to hold those two together for just a few moments. And you can close your eyes. That helps you get into that deeper place. And maybe just hold those two things together for 2 or 3 deep breaths. Okay, now you can let that go and open your eyes. And that concludes our practice for this evening. I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for, if you're checking us out on the YouTube channel after it happened. Appreciate you doing that. I hope you'll join us again next week. We're going to be doing this every Tuesday evening for, I think, 6 more weeks. So it's a real pleasure to get to do this. It's I think something that can be really relaxing and beneficial over time. So hope you'll join us again.